this is Katrina, your navigator, with another episode of High Tea with me as I help you navigate your road to a new career or to develop where you are, help you build your professional brand so that you can get to the next destination in your career. We are going to discuss today informal interviews and how they play into the overall interview process. Now, not every company does informal interviews, and some that is their total scheme for their company because they're a little more informal. So what I want you to be able to do is to be prepared for these types of interviews. And informal interviews are interviews that are not within the confines of the office setting. So you won't be in someone's office, you won't be in a conference room. They will contact you and invite you to coffee or lunch. So how do you handle an informal interview? Most people want to know, what do I say? What do I wear? How should I behave? And so this video is to let you know how you do that. And so informal interviews are growing in popularity because jobs are starting to become more specialized in what the need is. As we start to go more and more into the digital age and things are online and things are automated, people are looking for specific skill sets to accomplish specific things. Not saying that they did not have specific qualifications before, but things are a little more specialized, I would say, for skills. And there are certain skills that are starting to phase out, and some skills and skill sets and things and specializations that were never needed before because of this age. And so when you have an age where things are new, and they're coming into play, and there are things that have never been asked for before, people want to know that you have that skill set. And also, too, corporate culture is becoming a big thing. It always was a big thing, but now it's really where people are really paying attention, because we're in an age now where, just like employers are picky, employees are picky. And if an employee is not happy, they're less prone to stay in a role and stick it out if they're unhappy, because there are other options out there, and there are so many options out there. We are in what they call a strong economy. So even if you lose a job, there are other jobs available, given that you have the skill set for the job. And so one of the most common ways or reasons that they have informal interviews is that an employer will choose to have an informal interview when they're still formulating exactly what they want for the structure of a job. So they will meet with a wide variety of candidates so they can fine-tune a specific job description. And so they can learn from the informal interviews exactly what responsibilities and expectations they want for the role. Now, is this fair? Yes and no, because during the informal interview, while they're interviewing all of these candidates informally, one of those candidates might be the one who gets the job while they're doing it, because they're fine-tuning, and pretty much they're fine-tuning this role potentially specifically for the candidate that they want. And so to me, the best jobs I've ever had were roles that were created specifically for me because they met my skill set to a T. They met my personality to a T. They worked on they appealed to my strengths and my interests. And so I was able to flourish in that role better. I mean, I flourished in other roles, even, because you do the job that you do, but I was overall happier, and it came out in my work. It came out in the end product and the people that were around me. They were able to fit me in a culture and put other people who worked well or would be able to work well with me on the team with me. And it made all the difference on the team performance and the team dynamic. So also, employers may want to go this route because funding is too tentative in the beginning for a formal interview, because it could be that right now they're waiting to get their budget approved, and if they'll get approved to even fill the role, because in situations I've been there where they've had formal interviews, and I was one of the number one people that they want. Not the number one, because if I was the number one, I would have been the person, but I was a top candidate, and we got to the final rounds of interviews, and they didn't get the budget for the role. So the role went away, and was kind of absorbed into current roles that they had that were already filled. There has also been cases where, myself and my clients have gone for interviews and they didn't get approved for the role, and the role just kind of disappeared, even after they had even received an offer for a role. So people do this when they know that their budget is tentative, just so they can have a talent pool just in case they get approved for the role. And if the budget is smaller than they expected, you have people who will accept a payment that's acceptable to me, or a salary that's acceptable to me, might be too low or too high for someone else. Or, when I say too high, they're not even looking for that amount at all. That's not on their radar. And, that depends on what their specialization is, what they're used to making, what their aspirations are, what their degrees are in. So, all of this stuff plays a factor, and it plays a role in the interview process. So you want to prepare for an informal interview because it is still a part of the overall official process. So how you prepare for an informal interview is this. Number one, you want to conduct extensive research on the company that is inviting you in, just like you would for a formal interview, because you want to be prepared. You don't know the questions that they're going to ask you in that interview. And so you want to be prepared, because the worst thing that can happen in an interview is that they ask you a question that you don't have an answer to, because then you look as unprepared as you are, because you're not prepared if you don't have an answer. It's not to say, well, can I have a moment to think about it, because sometimes in an interview you do need to think about your answer. It is when you don't have an answer at all. So you want to make sure that you have that answer. You want to be ready to discuss your career path, what your goals are, your long-term goals, and your assets, your strengths, things that help you to add value in your current or past roles and can add value to this current company. Because again, this is an interview. You are, saying that I'm the best person for this role, and here's why. You want to be prepared to cite examples of stories that demonstrate the actions you took and the results. So those come in the form of star stories. I prefer star, situation, task, action, result. I prefer that simply because if you tell somebody, oh, what was the challenge you had and the action you took and results, which is car, or the problem you had and the action you took and the results, I've heard my clients in many, 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 many times say, well, I didn't have any challenges. I didn't have any problems. But everyone has a situation or a task that they are required to do. And they have actions that they specifically took, and it ended in a result. So when using that method, and this is not me, you know, advocating for a specific one, but I am. That's the one that I like. Have your star stories together and prepared because it shows your organization. It shows that you had a task, that you thoughtfully thought about what the task was, that you thought about the action, and that the end result was something that that they can see as something that was of value. And so you want to make sure that you have several stories prepared for that type of thing and for that job that you're going through. Because even in an informal interview, there is some information that is given to you about the type of role that they want. So you want to make sure that you know stories that fit that. Ideally, you want stories that have achievements attached to them, whether it's quantifiable results or qualifiable. Quantifiable meaning I saved X amount of dollars, I shaved X amount of time off of uh, a time that it took to do a task, increasing productivity, decreasing waste by X amount. I saved X dollars. Qualifiable is that um, you I don't know why my thoughts processes are scrambled, but at the end of the day, something was improved. You implemented a system, changed a process that made you more efficient in your process. You created processes that the whole company is using. It might not be something that has a number attached to it, but something that made a an impact, or whatever. You trained, the staff, and you went from the team not meeting the goals to meeting the goals, things like that. Or, for me, I did process improvement. So we had controls that were supposed to be in place to make sure that things work the way they were supposed to work. If there were broken controls, we fixed the goals. How did fix the controls? How did you fix the goals? What were the steps? And so now what was the result? Now we're not getting audit findings when we were getting audit findings, things like that. Or, no controls at all. And then so now we developed this whole process that made us more efficient, and so that we weren't getting at audit findings. Those types of things are things that they are looking for you to be able to answer to, depending on what your role is. And so that is that's what they're looking for. So all right, so getting ready for the interview is, what do you want to wear? Because this is an informal meeting, you don't necessarily have to wear a business suit. Me, I just wear them. I love business suits. I always wanted to do business. And so, when I go to a business meeting or something that's business like, you will 9 times out of 10 see Katrina in a business suit. However, this is a cafe. So, what I would say is business casual at the least. Do not wear anything else other than business casual. Jeans, khakis, Shorts, flip-flops, tank tops are a no-no. And I say that because of feedback that I have gotten from recruiters and HR people, that even when they had an informal interview, I've had them complain to me about not my clients, but just interviews that they've had where people came to informal interviews and even formal interviews with shorts, flip flops, tank tops. And I had someone say, look, we're not even like business professional dress, but at least a shirt and some slacks or a nice skirt. I mean, this person just went off. I mean, this was a recent conversation. I've had others, but it stands out to me because this person just was so upset about it that when they found out that I was a coach, they just decided to vent to me that this person came to this interview and it was not professional in their mindset. And so you don't want to give that signal, because 9 times out of 10, if they're inviting you for an informal interview, most of the time it's still during the work day. And so they're coming from work and they're coming from maybe a business meeting and they're in a suit or dress business casual, and you come in flip flops and a t-shirt. So I was always told, my grandmother always told me, dress for the job you want, not the job that you have. And so to me, if you come in a business attire and business suit, number one, your mindset is going to be different, and you're always prepared, no matter who is going to be sitting in that seat. So, and again, you want to realize that this is part of the interview process, and part of the interview you want to impress. So think about that. You know, you want to be clean, you want to be appropriate for the office. You want to be, just make sure that what you're wearing is not distracting the interviewer. And to do that, I would say just stay business like. What do you bring to the interview? You want extra copies of your resume, if you have a portfolio of your work. And see, you don't have to be artsy to have a portfolio. You can be a business person if you've implemented systems, created like procedures, forms, take off the proprietary stuff and just like have a general sample, or, just because you created forms, create a generic version of it just to show your skills and your skill sets. If you do like SQL queries and you create tables, just create a general report or query that spits out a report that doesn't have anything to do with your company. Just be like Acme 123 and have some fake numbers, but it shows that you know what you're doing. If you are sales, definitely you want to do that. If you have something that's a little more creative, like marketing, have some samples of your work. Trust me, having something that they can look at, a picture, says 1,000 words. So does having a presentation. So you can have that. You can have on your iPad a presentation and everything. I had someone brag to me about that, how somebody came in and blew them away because they had a presentation of their portfolio on an iPad and scrolled right through and told them what was going on. I mean, they were so impressed about it, they talked about it for days. So and that's something that you want to be memorable. You want to bring a pen and a notepad so you can take notes. Not taking notes is considered that you're not interested, or again, you weren't prepared. You weren't prepared to take notes. Talking to HR people and recruiters, they expect you to take notes. So you want to make sure that you're prepared for that. What do you want to ask the recruiter? Take advantage of the less formal interview, and you can ask questions early on. Most of the time in an informal interview, they will start you talking off. Well, do you have any, I know I brought you in here and what we said was vague. And so do you have any questions for us? Um, and everything. So you can let them know. Tell me a little bit more about why you brought me in here. Can you give me a little more specifics about the opportunity? Um, you mentioned, because sometimes they'll tell you about a pain point. You mentioned that you had potential, challenges in your department. Can you tell me a little bit more about how someone like myself would fit into that picture? I always try to put myself in there. Like, so when you hire me, type thing. Sometimes it's worked out for my benefit as confidence, and sometimes it did not go well. But I'm interviewing for you to hire me, not for you to hire someone else. So I don't want to say, oh, well, this candidate. I'm telling you about my skill set. I'm telling you about my achievements and everything. So I want them to picture me doing the role. So I was like, so, when you give me the role, or, since you know my what I've done, can you picture me in this role? Something like that, something to keep me in the forefront of their minds. Most times that has worked out for me, but there have been times where it has not. But I still would say keep you in their mind in a positive way, and asking them thought provoking questions. I've asked questions in interviews that people say, "Oh wow, nobody's ever asked me that before." It got them to thinking. So be prepared also for in an informal interview, even in a formal interview, because this happened, to my clients. It's happened to myself many times where on the spot they liked you so much that they offered you the job on the spot. And so if you're being offered a role on the spot or shortly after, let the manager know um, that you want to have time, that number one, express that you're appreciative to them for inviting you out and taking the time to review your credentials. But ask them if they would not mind giving you 24 to 48 hours to consider, and get back to them in that 24 to 48 hours. 9 times out of 10, they will say yes. But again, as I stated before, get back to them in that 24 to 48 hours. Because you don't want to be feel pressured to take a role on the spot that you're not necessarily, have your mind made up for. Also, you might have other offers that are coming in and you want to consider those. So it is entirely okay to ask them to have a couple days to think about the opportunity. You want to make sure that you watch what you are saying. It's informal. So because this is an informal interview, you're more comfortable. You're at a cafe, you're at lunch, you're at Starbucks or something like that. You are um, you have your guard down. So you want to make sure that you don't say anything negative about your current company, a past company, a colleague. Just keep the negative comments away. Um, you don't want to talk political. You don't want to say anything negative about political candidates. Or definitely stay away from race, age, gender. Don't, just don't. That's all I can say about that. Um, you want to keep things on a professional level, even if the recruiter seems to be letting their hair down, his or her hair down. Still, be casual, be yourself, but keep the professional. Keep the professional. It's always a good idea if you are currently employed to ask the recruiter or hiring manager to keep your meeting confidential, so you're not jeopardizing your current role. Um, because again, this is an informal interview, and 9 times out of 10, they're um, meeting with other people, and if they reach out to their buddy in HR at your company, because again, HR is a small world, that can jeopardize your job. And you don't want to do that. Um, whether they want you or not, you still don't want to burn that bridge. And everything like that. My grandmother always used to tell me, you don't want to burn a bridge because you never know when you're going to have to cross that bridge again. So, just make sure you do that. Some recruiters will use informal meetings to pick your brain about other potential candidates, especially if they get a sense that the opening is not appropriate for you. Don't take this as an offense, because they still respect you and your opinion and your skill set for the fact that they're asking you about other potential candidates. So they still respect your professionalism. They respect where you are, where you've been, and this is why they're asking you. So, you can take some time to think about it and ask them, you know, uh, to give you time to check, say you have someone in mind, or some people that might be interested. I will check with them and see if they are willing, and then I'll do a virtual handshake, if you will, if they're interested, or I'll have them reach out to you. But do not give out any contact information without checking with that person or persons. You never want to blindside somebody with a conversation about someone with a role. You don't know if the person wants to leave or if they're happy where they are. You just don't want to do it. Um, you don't want people to think that you're affiliated with a certain recruiter, or appear to be on a job hunt mode. Even with your colleagues, because they talk too. Well, so and so had a recruiter contact me. I think they might be trying to leave or they're unhappy. You don't want to have that conversation either. So make sure that you are wise in the information gathering. When you're invited to a meeting from a recruiter for a cup of coffee or a meal, they will always pick up the tab. So don't worry about who's going to pay for it. There's no need to offer to pay. You do say thank you, for the recruiter hiring manager paying for your meal, though. It's common courtesy. It's common courtesy if anybody pays for your meal. So you want to make sure that you do that. You want to follow up after the meeting. Ask the person that you met for his or her business card, to follow up with them. It's important that you follow up after the meeting, especially if you get a sense that there are viable opportunities available through the recruiter, just so you can meet your goal of finding a job, or maybe now they piqued your interest and you weren't even really looking for a job, but now you feel like you want to make a change. So you want to follow up just to see where they are, the hiring manager or recruiter. Um, so if, and you can always kind of tell if someone has reservations about your background or see if you don't quite fit. And you can try to supply them with information that would counter their concerns. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. Even if you're not interested in the company, send a brief thank you letter for them inviting you and invite them to connect with you on LinkedIn, because this opportunity might not have been a great fit, but they might have something that is. And it might be something that you see later that you're interested in, and you can reach out to that recruiter or hiring manager later, to find out if they're the recruiter for it, or if they're the hiring manager for it, or if they know the person who is recruiting for it or hiring for it. So you want to keep those options open. That's a nice way to build your network. Um, I do want to stress, in the few minutes that we have left, that a informational interview, it is not the same as an informational interview. So an informal interview is not the same as an informational interview. An informational interview is an interview that you set up with a recruiter or hiring manager based on reaching out through LinkedIn, your network, someone referred you, and you're getting information on the company and possible opportunities that they have available within the company. And you still want to be prepared. You still want to have your questions, but it's fact finding. And so that is the difference between an informational interview and an informal interview, where an informal interview is a part of an active search for candidates, whereas an informational interview is part of your active search for a job or opportunity. And the difference is you're inviting versus they're inviting. So that is what I have. And in the last minute or so, I just wanted to let you know that if you have any other questions or comments about informational interviews, if you want to know a little bit more, I have designed a 7-week course that helps you build your professional and personal brand. You will learn how to write an effective resume, how to read job postings to get the keywords that you need in your resume, so ATS can pick you up. And then when someone looks at it, it looks presentable and it still has the key words and the qualifications in it to say that you are the right fit for this job. It will teach you how to do a proper job search, to tap into the hidden job market. It will also help you for the interview, what the different types of interviews are. We'll go more into depth with that, whereas we'll be going through the types of questions that you ask and how you present yourself, how you officially dress, what you're supposed to do, the do's and don'ts. We'll go through all of that and more during this class. You'll get weekly coaching from me. Personally, I will be there coaching you for about an hour and a half every week, and you will get access to an exclusive group just for individuals who take this course. And you can go to Facebook because I've posted it there. You can go to LinkedIn. You can go to my Instagram page, and it has how you sign up. What I will say, there is a cost to it, but you will make it back in your first paycheck if you are unemployed, and even if you're looking for another job, you will make that money back and everything like that. But there is a cost, and I have people who have gone through the course and have gotten great results, and that is on the page that you will see when you click on it too. There will be an option for you to have your resume professionally done. If you do not want to, there will be an option for you to get individualized coaching, because this will be group coaching from me. So you can go through there and see that too. But I do thank you for joining me again for another week of High Tea with me, and have a wonderful day.